What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that you are ready to have a conversation. We are convening this meeting between you and I under some emergency circumstances. It is Wednesday, January 17th, 2024. It's about 8 p.m. Central Standard Time as I sit to record this for you. I got here a little bit late. It was bedtime for my son when the news broke. Yes, the news. And I do want to let you know, because it might look or feel a little bit weird to you, we are doubling this up. We are putting this video up on the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. We are putting this audio up on the Blogging the Boys podcast network. Full disclosure for the YouTube audience that does not know, on Thursdays, my podcast, The Ocho, drops on our podcast network. I actually had recorded an episode that obviously has now been dated, and nobody will ever, get to, see or hear it or whatever. And given that my voice is a little bit, in a bit of a tough scene right now, I powered through for nothing. So we're going to have this episode of the Ocho drop, obviously a little bit earlier than usual, given the circumstances as mentioned. Let's kind of get to it already and just kind of talk about this. It was reported by ESPN initially on Wednesday evening during my son's bedtime that the Dallas Cowboys would be bringing Mike McCarthy back for a fifth season in 2024. Now, I'm going to preface all of this with, I do not enjoy this part of my job. I do not enjoy sitting here and calling for someone to lose their job. I would hate if somebody talked about me like that. I would feel very uncomfortable if people talked about me like that. So I feel very uncomfortable saying that somebody should lose their job. That being said, I understand, the reality of the situation. And I also understand that I'm somebody who, if you have watched or listened to me over the last few years, I'm somebody who has supported Mike McCarthy. I'm somebody who has had Mike McCarthy's back. I was a proponent for seeing him take over as the offensive play caller almost a full year ago when he made that decision, because my take at the time was, you have to see who that is. You hired Mike McCarthy. He made his hay as an offensive play caller with the Green Bay Packers. You have to learn who that dude is. If you don't, it's a colossal failure. And the Cowboys did. And to his credit, he proved to be a very, 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 very good offensive play caller. He deserves a lot of credit for what happened, but he also deserves a lot of criticism for what happened. And obviously the playoff loss of the Green Bay Packers, the most recent playoff loss for the Dallas Cowboys, they're 1-3 in the playoffs under Mike McCarthy. He was brought in to be a difference maker. He was brought in to be somebody who could take the Cowboys past the divisional round. He has only taken them to the divisional round on only one occasion in 4 years, and the Cowboys obviously lost that game. And the decision to bring him back in 2024, while predictable, I don't want to sit here and act like, oh man, we're completely and totally shocked. Nobody saw this coming. While it is predictable, it is also predictable in a horrible way. Mike McCarthy, as mentioned, obviously joined the Cowboys in 2020 and signed a 5-year contract. This is the 5th year. And so I am not proposing signing Mike McCarthy to an extension. I want to be very clear with that. However, having him go at this in a contract year is a horrible decision. It sets up horrible circumstances. It is going to be nothing but drama, nothing but intensity, nothing but, just chaos swirling around the Cowboys after every loss that they have. And they might only lose 5 games or 4 games or whatever the case may be. But after every loss, it's going to be, this dude's in a contract year. You are setting him up for a lame duck season. And that is exactly what happened to Jason Garrett. Now, 5 years ago in the 2019 season, the Cowboys let him come back, let him coach that year out. And of course, things went poorly. The Cowboys didn't win the NFC East. They missed out on the playoffs, blah, 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 blah. So you're betting against a lot of history here. You're betting against the history of lame duck contract year head coaches. You're betting against the history that Mike McCarthy has shown you, obviously. And you're betting against the history of, NFC East success. It's going to be now 20 years that a team has repeated as NFC East champions. And given that the Cowboys are the reigning division champions, odds are not in their favor that they're going to do it again. This all, just suggests that the Cowboys went with the safe move. And I want to be clear, there are worse things to happen. I mean, there are worse coaches in the NFL, but this situation just kind of feels like it's run its course. Jerry Jones did release a statement in the aftermath of this saying, I'm paraphrasing or kind of skimming, I believe this team is very close and capable of achieving our ultimate goals, and the best step forward is Mike McCarthy. There's a great benefit to continuing the team's progress, et cetera, et cetera. Specifically, there are many layers of success that have occurred this season as a result of his approach to leading the team, blah, blah, blah. Further, our loss on Sunday is shared by everyone here, not just Mike McCarthy. That's fair. Our players, our coaches, our front office, myself, very fair. There is accountability for our results. I am accountable for our results. We will start our process of review and decision-making regarding everything that impacts our team and roster, and while you're not going to address specific players or extensions or free agents at this point, it deserves our deepest review and consideration, and it will get it. Again, I just feel like it's a safe move and it's a boring move, and you're not, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, in a position where you can afford to be safe. And I tweeted this out and I wanted to add some context to it. We don't know, obviously, what level Jerry Jones was legitimately considering moving on from Mike McCarthy, right? Maybe there was 1% of him that was. But even if it was 1%, right? Like even if it was the teeniest, tiniest, just most tangible point of percentage, you were still considering it, right? And if you recognize that the opportunity is now, if you recognize that the opportunity is precious, why would you want somebody in control who you don't have complete and total, absolute, unequivocal 100% faith in? Like, if it's, Bill Parcells had an old ism that is really great. Once players start thinking about retirement, they're retired. And so if you're already somewhat not confident that Mike McCarthy is the guy, then you're not confident that Mike McCarthy is the guy. Again, I hope that I've explained that properly. Again, I mean, if you're thinking about, if you're saying, well, what did you expect, RJ? I didn't expect anything different, which is disappointing, right? It's disappointing that they did the thing that we expected, which is the super mundane, super boring, super vanilla. I made a joke on the radio on Wednesday about, if you are familiar with the show Boy Meets World, this is Corey leaning up against the celery poster. I mean, this is the most predictable thing that they could have done, and it's frustrating. I mean, because we've come this far, and I understand if you are a Cowboys fan who feels like there's no real hope, right? There's hope that they'll be competitive, they'll win enough games, they'll be a playoff team, but there's no real hope beyond that, because how can you argue with the results of the last 1,200, 1,300 days, whatever it is? And it would have been nice to see them take a swing, right? And maybe they would have missed. Maybe Jim Harbaugh would have been a miss. Maybe Bill Belichick would have been a miss. Maybe Mike Vrabel would have been a miss. But you know what? Damn it, you would have tried. And I think we all would have respected that. And we would have offered you a little bit more grace and forgiveness for that, as opposed to just running it back like this. Again, you're betting against a lot of history here, and that's not a wise thing to do. If we're going to speculate now, because, Mike McCarthy's returning, and that's obviously kind of the main, sort of point here, there has to be a fall guy. There has to be. I mean, the way this went down, there has to be a fall guy. The fact that Mike McCarthy's under contract and there has to be this big to-do about him returning is enough evidence that there has to be a fall guy. For all of you who want it to be Dak Prescott, we've outlined why it cannot be Dak Prescott, the financial elements involved. I'm going to get to Dak in a second. I would imagine that Dan Quinn is the fall guy. For what it's worth, ESPN's Dan Graziano wrote an article on Wednesday just predicting, these were his predictions, which, every would-be head coach, which, candidates each team that has a vacancy at the head coaching position was ultimately going to select. And Dan Quinn did not get any of them in the prediction. And so I wrote an article, hasn't come out yet, but I wonder what happens if Dan Quinn doesn't get a head coaching job. Did the Cowboys just welcome him back? That feels unlikely. I actually think that article has come out yet, or already, but it's a different point. Just check blogontheboys.com. Maybe he's the name. He's the fall guy. But it's not about that we need it to feel satisfactory. It doesn't feel like that would be enough. And so this is a really frustrating experience, I think, if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan. Another thing I wanted to speculate on, and this is purely speculation. I have talked a lot throughout the Blog on the Boys universe, on the radio in San Antonio, on social media, in articles, about how it is untenable. That's the word I've been using over and over and over and over and over again. Untenable for the Dallas Cowboys to go into 2024 with Dak Prescott on his current cap number, or with his current cap number, which is about $60 million. I do wonder, because of the, decision to go at 2024 with Mike McCarthy in a contract year, I wonder if the Cowboys are willing, again, just thinking out loud here, if they're willing to try to stomach that $60 million and just put all their eggs in 2024. Not all their eggs, but all the pressure, right? Okay, Dak, McCarthy, y'all are going to go down. You're going to go down swinging together. I mean, and if this doesn't work, we'll hit the full reset in 2025. We'll let Dak walk in free agency. We'll move on from Mike McCarthy when his contract expires, and we'll just figure things out then. I wonder. I really do wonder. Because to be clear, I still have a high level of faith in Dak Prescott, although nobody can defend what happened on Sunday. But if you extend him, then you are extending the era, right? Like you're then, doing some work for whoever potentially replaces Mike McCarthy in 2025 or beyond. They have to come into a situation where Dak Prescott has a contract and has a very, very firm seat at the table with regards to the organization that is the Dallas Cowboys. So those are conversations and questions we can have as the offseason kind of moves and grooves along. But we now know that the offseason will feature Mike McCarthy as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. It is kind of again, not a shock, but kind of a stunner in that sense. It's just, you know, if you watch our YouTube channel or if you listen to our podcast, if you like the things I do, odds are high that you have enjoyed the NFC East mixtape with myself and Brandon Lee Gowton, who is the me at our Eagle site at SB Nation, Bleeding Green Nation. And he has a saying, Brandon does, not a saying, but he often talks about how you should, it's a helpful exercise to look at how your rivals feel about things, right? Because if you do something, if you sign a player, make a trade, whatever, and all of your rivals are like, holy crap, this sucks, then you know that was a good thing, right? I mean, that kind of makes sense. And similarly, if you do something and all of your rivals are like, awesome, can't wait, I am so pumped about this, then, you know, again, it's not proof that it's a bad thing, but it's a helpful kind of exercise. And I would just ask you to look around your friends or family or coworkers or social media followings or whatever the case may be. Look how the NFL world is reacting to this. Everybody is saying, oh yeah, everybody's like people are either licking their chops, like making fun of the Cowboys, or they're saying this is so stupid. Now there are some people saying this is the right move. And on one hand, I get how it's the logical move, it's the safe move, it's the high floor move, but the time for that is so gone at this point in time. And so I disagree with this, and I don't like to do that. I don't like to I don't want to act negative. I don't want to be negative, but I disagree with this. I would bet against this working out because you are betting against a lot of history, and generally speaking in NFL history, that doesn't work out. So I would love to be wrong. That's my take on this. My take is this is a bad idea, but I really, 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 really hope that I am wrong. But what do you think? I would love to hear your comments. You can comment down below on our YouTube video, obviously, if you're watching there. If you're listening to the podcast, you can hit me up on Twitter or Instagram. I'm at RJ Ochoa. By the way, I mentioned the radio. If you are a fan of me, if you like what I do and the things I talk about, I had mentioned this in a few different places. Starting this past Tuesday was my first day. Nothing's changing within my role at Blogging the Boys. We're all good here. Again, videos, articles, podcasts, everything coming out, normal schedule. We never sleep around here. But speaking of sleep, I now am the co-host of a morning show on the radio in San Antonio, 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. Myself, Rob Thompson, great friend of mine. I've known him for a very long time, and so we've had a great time. We started on Tuesday, and you can hear us every Monday through Friday from 6 to 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. So speaking of no sleep, it is it's a tough deal doing a radio show at 6 in the morning. You can watch that if you are here on YouTube on the San Antonio Sports Star YouTube channel. We're live there every day. Obviously, you can listen on our website or on the radio if you are local in San Antonio. And things that happen that are relevant whenever we do cool interviews or whatever the case may be, we'll be sharing that in our podcast feed or on our YouTube channel as well. We're one kind of family that's going to be working together. I'm very pleased, the kind of relationship that San Antonio Sports Star and Blogging the Boys have. So if you don't want to do those things, wow, kind of not cool, but just kidding. But rest assured, we'll find one way or another to get you that content. But let me know what you think about Mike McCarthy returning to the Dallas Cowboys, and also if you have any home remedies on how to fix your voice, because obviously I'm in some dire straits. Thanks so much for hanging out, everybody. My name is RJ Ochoa once again, and I promise you we will find a way to get through this offseason together. We will see you next time. Eat something delicious, drink something. I'm going to drink a milkshake. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hope that helps. So I'll let you know how it works. But thanks so much for hanging out, everybody. See you next time.